Hey yo, what is going on you guys? Alejandro here and welcome back to another episode of Magayon. In this episode, we're going to be expanding the city. We are going to be crossing over to the other side of the river and going to be expanding the city in a similar style to how Paris was planned, with wide avenues, large boulevards, and parks, but giving it a little bit of a Southeast Asian type of mix. Typical Magayon. So if you guys want to check out my own take, my interpretation of this build, this expansion of the city, keep on watching. So we're starting off by laying down the main avenues of the city. I'm actually laying down a brand new avenue because I'm figuring out which place to place them, and this avenue will serve as the connecting avenue from the Capitol building to the palace, which we're going to be seeing later on in the episode. For now, I am just laying down the roads, cleaning up the road system because it's been long overdue. As you can see, there's already an Eiffel Tower there, to get inspiration from the Persian vibes, like, oui, baguette. But that is that. I'm fixing the river as well so that it all is smooth and connected. It's not that natural. I'm using this network because this allows me to place trees and props that don't sink down to the water, if you know what I mean. The terrain here is basically the same, but the water goes under. Now I'm working on the other side of the river. I'm trying to make a grid that is parallel to the other side of the river. I'm going to be explaining in the live play all the history about that. But here I decided to, break down what I was building a while ago because that just didn't seem quite right. And I decided to just make it its own thing. There you go. That is an expansive, huge lot there. That's where we're going to be placing the palace. And I also decided to make the circumferential road much closer to the city because it's quite far away. And I just want to limit the amount of things that I'm going to be building in the middle of that because I also have plans for the outskirts of the city. But for now, we are laying down the grid. It's sort of a grid at the same time natural, it's a mix and match of both. It's very much kind of like Paris. So the way that I'm doing this is that I'm making 90-degree grids, and whenever I reach or intersect with a road that doesn't fit that, the next road extending away from that is also 90 degrees from that weird one, if you know what I mean. Like this, that is 90 degrees, but that's also 90 degrees, but on a different grid pattern, on a grid layout. So it gives it a little bit of a natural, organic, at the same time planned. It's like a middle ground for both of them, and I think that's quite nice. Now on this side we also have another park that would look like the palace there, and that is like the placeholder for that is the Eiffel Tower. Now I'm just laying down, changing the hierarchy of the road so that I know what roads would be here and the different sizes of them. Now these 4-lane roads are going to be the main ones, and the small ones are just going to be smaller ones. I'm planning them in a way that would seem natural at the same time planned. As I've said, making it 90 degrees at the same time, making the curves smoother. This road right here goes directly from the diagonal intersection which we've built, the roundabout from the last episode. From the last episode, I guess. Not last. I've been recording episodes non-stop within this midterm break because college is busy. We got a lot of things to do. So if you guys want to support and get early access to all the episodes, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Alejandro. Self-advertisement in the middle of the bedroom. But yeah, if you guys want to support the channel and help me go through this, amazing thing we're doing, which is Magayon, consider becoming a patron. But if you can't, subscribe or whatever, you should subscribe. Like, not whatever. It's like very important. But yeah, now we are here. I just fixed down the grid, the road, the circumferential road. It now feels a bit more well thought of rather than before when we were just placing it as far as we can, but as near as also. I'm also extending across it because the city centers, like tall buildings, are going to be located inside within like the wide circumferential road. Is it an avenue or a boulevard? It's an avenue because EDSA is what I'm taking inspiration from, and EDSA means Epifanio de los Santos Avenue. Yes. Oh my god, I'm so cultured. I'm so cultured milk. Yakult. Anyway, so that is that. We're expanding these things here, reworking some of the roads. The future of Magayon is not as difficult for me to guess what it would look like. I'm also moving the buildings from where they were before into where they can be now. And update, I have just subscribed, or I had just become a member of Reaper's Patreon page, and he has one of the best, if not the best, assets made for Cities Skylines. We're actually using them for the placeholders for BGC, and they're gonna be what BGC will be looking like. So yeah, shout out to Reaper, amazing assets. Perfect, gorgeous, yes. Okay, before I get too ahead of myself, this is the palace or museum, or I don't know. I'm thinking of giving it its own history. Like, this used to be a palace similar to Versailles or the Louvre. It used to be a palace, a fortress, and then later on it became a museum as the monarchy dwindled down. Something of the similar vibe to that. But we're going to be building this in the next episode. I am just laying down roads and I got inspired, so why not? My ADHD self, just got the sudden urge of inspiration, and having ADHD, you gotta, make tama it. You have to strike when it comes. You know what I mean? You have to, what do they call that? At the same time it. But yeah, this is inspired similar by Paris's palaces and gardens. It's very linear, it's very geometric, it's very much very, but it's also Thai. We're going to be taking inspiration from Thai architecture because it's the only type of assets that are available on the Steam Workshop for Cities Skylines. If this was Minecraft, I think I could make something that would be a little bit more appropriate for a Philippines that was never colonized, which is the premise of this series. But with the limitations, this is the best that we could find, and these serve the purpose well, and they are gorgeous. But yeah, this is not the focus of the episode. What we're focusing on is expanding the city and fixing the road layouts and all the kind of stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, we're going to be going now into the live play. And this is what we ended up with. This is the newly reworked circumferential road. Now, we have made it go closer to the city center because before it was super far away from the city center, like proven by the old highway. I mean, the old road used to be going here, following this route, but it follows the MRT, which is this elevated train line here. As you can see, that was a little bit too far. I decided to make it closer because, as you can see, there is a lot of space here, and it is nearer the rural area, and I want to keep it very urban along this road, like a lot of tall buildings here, especially in these areas. So I decided to make it closer to the city so that the city would be smaller, at the same time bigger, if you know what I mean. It doesn't make sense, but if you finish this, it will. You can see here the grid pattern that we have currently. This part of the city is very much the same grid. This one also has its own grid, and this one has its own grid net pattern. This one has its own grid, like it follows this angle, and this area also has its own. I decided to follow the rivers when we reach the other side of the river, to follow the river's curvature, or make it parallel to the river. So as you can see, the grid pattern here is at the 90-degree angle or something, 180, but it's like straight with it like this for the palace. And we have here for another thing here, because it's significant, because these boulevards here, we have 3, we actually have 4. We have this one, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have the first major boulevard. Now this boulevard could have been like going continuously straight, like if it went here, but this palace was here way before this was built. Like, this palace is built on a hill, if I have not said it yet. As you can see, it's quite elevated. So it's placed on a hill. These are just placeholders, by the way. In the next episode, this is when we are going to be building this. And I just hopped into the live play to explain it a little bit clearer. And we're going to be fixing some roads. This episode is mostly roads. And I know you guys love roads. Analytically speaking, a lot of views come from road builds. But yeah, as you can see, it follows the river's terrain. Now, I imagine that this was a continuous path. And this was like where there was a stop here. I'm going to be placing a stop there. I'm gonna changing this later. But yeah, this is the building here. There might have been a building here. There's a building under this thing, as you can see. This is a building I placed under it, and it expanded. And this is like, I'm feeling, I have been like pondering what this place would be, because I'm taking inspiration from Paris, as I've said, or may not have said, because because I'm taking inspiration from Paris. And you know, Paris has a lot of these like park thingies, plazas, major green areas along the rivers for museums, palaces, universities, I guess. And I wanted to take the vibe of that for Magayon as well. And we have this one, which is older, and it like has the same vibe with the Capitol building, and it's close to the old city. So I decided, nah, I'm just gonna place the old palace here. Like, I think the history of it would be the first like phase or whatever of Magayon, like the very first palace of the capital city, which is this one. They had it here. Gonna be building that soon. And then it expanded. When the city expanded, they decided to place it here outside for, you know, a little bit more like centralized. And then Daniel Burnham's plan came along, and then they added in the Capitol building, and this was further expanded. But then the city grew even more, and you know, this was a little bit too small to be a palace, and we're not like very it's still, you know, similar to the United Kingdom. I think it would still, this serves like the Prime Minister's house or the White House thingy, because the White House has, I guess, like a fountain in front of it, or East Lawn, something. And I kind of want to make this like angle here. Like whenever you see the news in America, especially like national television or whatever, you have like the angle of the White House, and then it's like this one, and there's like a lawn here. This is where the president enters. I think this is the presidential palace. And Malacanang, as I've said, is also located by the river, but it's located directly at the river. And I wanted to change that a little bit. It's still by the river, kind of Filipino, kind of its own thing. It's not any single thing. It's a mix and match of things. But yeah, the next one we have is this thing here. I'm still not quite sure what to place here. It will be traversing the highway. So this would be a little bit more 20th century, like 1920s, 1930s, maybe a war museum, I guess, or maybe something a little bit more modern. And we also have this here, a central square. Still not quite sure what to put there. Arc de Triomphe. I don't think that makes sense, because if it were to be Paris, this would be like, I don't know, doesn't make sense. But you know, as I've said in the last episode or previous episode, this would be La Défense in Paris. Yes, it's gonna be expressway, highway, very much, you know, like that. And this one is going to be more, the buildings here are gonna be very low, like maximum height, like that. So yeah, we also have here BGC. We have to fix that. People are still opting for this road rather than this one. But yeah, I guess I'm just going to be finishing up the roads here, fixing up this one, changing these roads, because I have just downloaded newer assets. I'm gonna turn the resolution down because we're not actually gonna be focus on the detailing. I have downloaded these new road assets. So yeah, this one is going to be the boulevards. I used a three lane actually, asymmetrical lane in the middle. So I'm like, no thank you. You don't like that. And these roads are actually roundabout roads. So if we make roundabouts, it's going to be better. So where is the road? This one. Medium approach bike green road. If you guys want to check these assets out, the asset link is going to be down below. The asset list for Magayon is down below, and I update it whenever newer assets are added to the mix. So yeah. Ooh, that tree is disgusting. Okay, let's change it to something a little bit more Magayon. There we go. It looks better now. I'm gonna make the lights go closer. Oh, there is an ambulancia over there. So you can see it's much better. Like, it has dedicated bike lanes instead of this one being close to the road, and it makes it a little bit more important, the significance of it all. Worked around it. There we go. I have to remove this node here because this doesn't make quite sense. A lot of nodes in this place. I'm gonna be reworking this maybe in another rework episode because this thing right here, it's not working quite well as I intended it to be. Oh, became ugly again. We don't like ugliness in the city. There we go. Change the to become white ones because the old ones were a little bit gray. And just look at that. That just speaks Magayon. It's a mix of everything beautiful, everything we've learned. Perfect. And then I'm going to be changing as well these other ones so that we'd make it look gorgeous. Now, these roads have direct views towards the Capitol building, and we have the longest of them all here. I'm thinking, of having a palace here, and it would have a direct view of the Capitol building right over there. And I'm also thinking that this would be a little bit more hilly, a little bit higher elevation, same as the palace over there. And yeah, but that's just a thought. Should I also change this one? Because lots of people are opting to go through here. Yep, I should probably change this one as well. Can you change the speed of the road from the editor itself? No, we can't. So I just have to make mano that later on. Changing these roads to have more trees because I just went out on a walk a few days prior. Yesterday, I went outside, went for a walk, and it was scorchingly hot. And, it's actually winter in some places in the world, and it's supposed to be cooler by October, December. But the sun was just directly above us, and it's gonna get hotter in the future. So might as well have a lot of trees, and trees help to mitigate the heat and the urban heat island effect. You'd see that more in future builds, especially in newer districts like this one. Quite excited for that. But yeah, I'm just gonna be fixing the lane connections and then I'll be back. Let's go to time-lapse mode. So now I am fixing the lane connections for the Capitol Rotunda type of thing, but it's not actually round. It's kind of like an octagon. It's a polygon, but it's curved, so I guess that's that. It kind of serves as a roundabout, but I'm not sure. But yeah, we're just giving it basic lane detailing using intersection marking tool once again, which we are going to be using extensively later on once we actually get to building the bridge you might have seen in the cinematics. But for now, I am expanding out the city, fixing up the things using these brand new roads that I have mentioned, and the roundabouts are just gorgeous. Now I'm also changing up the tree for this one because the vanilla trees are just ugly. They're not Magayon. They're not up to standards. And I'm also going to be changing up the roads to these new roads that I just downloaded. These are the Dutch pedestrian bike car type of roads. They are basically Dutch roads, and they are perfect for the premise of the old city, which is a very walkable, accessible part of the city. And since we're taking inspiration from Southeast Asian cities, a lot of Southeast Asian cities have narrow roads, so we just have to maximize the space that we have. I'm also reworking the entire radiating road, road going around the palace, and I'm just finishing up this thing here. I'm also going to be changing this 4-lane road into a bike 4-lane road because why not? Let's make it a little bit more gorgeous. So yep, that is what happened. Look at the city center. This is what I ended up with. Now I have actually successfully changed the radiating avenues to become more bike friendly because the city has a lot of bike infrastructure. As you can see, it's very much kind of Dutch inspired. I got carried away and this asset is a game changer. These roundabout ones, these make detailing a hell of a lot easier, and they have dedicated protected bike lanes. Now I did that mano by hand here, and I kind of don't like it, but it's too late to change it now, so I guess that's that. We're gonna have a port there, future episode. Now we are seeing the major changes already. We're having a lot of pedestrianized roads here, a lot of tree-lined ones. Now these tree lines are gonna be main roads, and people living here, if you live here, then you're super rich or something. You have like old money rich. We're going to be finishing this up in future episodes, but in the next episode we're going to be building up this palace. Okay, I'm just going to be finishing this intersection here, I guess, because I've actually fixed up this place. Oh, I need to fix this as well, pala. Okay, so this will be filled. I'm not going to be doing the grass anymore because it just didn't seem to make much sense, especially on those parts. But this kind of makes much more sense to have a grass filled curb rather than not. Okay, this would be a little bit older. I'm having second thoughts on whether continuing this as a bikeable road or this is the end of the bikeable area, because I'm thinking that though the city is very much bikeable, only the core of the city is 100% bikeable. Once you go farther out, there are places where you can't bike, especially here. You can't bike there. It's not designed for the bike. Yeah, this is not like a super beautiful, we're not to Amsterdam here yet, but the core of the city is super Amsterdam because that's just how life's supposed to be. I'm thinking that this would be where royal parades would be held, because it would be a beautiful place to hold a parade, like along this part. Yes, beautiful. And yeah, look at that. We now have we have hierarchy in the city. I'm going to be fixing up bridges, and we're going to be fixing up some roads. I wanted to make this a shared street system because I want people to bike and to be able to use cars, because it's all car centric. We have wide roads, so that means that they still have easy access into the different parts. And this entire thing right here is a turbo one, but I'm planning on just filling in this with a pathway over it, so that would be only 2 lanes, and add a fence. I don't know, we'll see. And with that being said, let's go back to the time-lapse mode and finish this. The new episodes of Magayon the production of these new episodes have been quite amazing. It's a mix and match of time-lapse, live play, cinematic, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and the new fresh vibe that you're getting from the series, click like, share, subscribe, comment below what you want to see next, and everything in between. Now we are doing the custom Dutch inspired intersection. I'm using this bike network thing to make a bike crossing that is similar to the Netherlands, because these roads, if I don't have these bike networks here, the people will just cross and move to the left. You know, the bike people would just go across the same way a car would cross, but here they would cross the same way a pedestrian would cross, which would be much safer for everybody. For the pedestrians, for the bikers, for the cars, for the pedestrians, and of course the bikers. Guys, hierarchy is important, you know. Anyways, using node controller to just fix the angles up a bit, making sure that it's a square even though we have 6 roads intersecting to it. I have denied access for those 2 pedestrian bike shared roads to go into the intersection. As you can see, you can cross the road and go to the other side, but you can't drive through. Okay, now we are doing the custom bridge. Now I have made custom bridges in the past, which in the past episode near Lacandura, the old city, and that was kind of easy, but this one was a little bit harder because this had to be sloped, and also I had to figure out how to make the thing go under it, the boats go under it, the ferry, because if I just use the plain bridge network, the version of this road, it's a little bit too thick. And these are from the Bridges and Pier pack from Cities Skylines, and the height of them, the thickness, the design, it's just perfect. It's what I was looking for. I then added in these like monuments on the side because that's kind of like how Paris is, or whatever. They have, you know, they are guiding you, like it's a monument. I don't know if you guys have any knowledge on why they are like monuments on bridges, hit me up in the comments. Now I'm doing the Riverside Promenade. I need to breathe. I've been talking for hours. I'm building the Riverside Promenade, and here is a custom little ferry stop that I have that is directly across the bridge and also is connected to a tram stop. So transportation in the city is just gorgeous. Unlike Manila, where public transportation is, dare I say, hell. It's like living in hell in real life. But yeah, it's getting fixed, but still not enough. Now we are going to the nighttime. I have went to the nighttime. I'm a little bit late on the commentary, but I'm just placing down basic detailing, placing this. Also, this is a Parisian styled river esplanade, or a 1910 style. I'm using a San Francisco street light asset, which I've been using a lot in the city, and these are just perfect. I'm also adding in these upwards spotlight so that the bridge would be, you know, a little bit more important, you know, because she's that girl, you know. And I'm also changing the lights to be on the outside instead of the center, because why not? It looks more gorgeous that way, much more cinematic. And here I'm using the intersection marking tool to change the color of the bike lanes to become pinkish red rather than the mintish green that it actually comes with, like with the assets, because this is just a little bit more uniform and makes everything look gorgeous. And yeah, I guess that's that. I'm going to be going into the live play and explain how far we've come, what we've built, and give you guys a little bit more of an announcement. And this is what we've ended up with. I have finished detailing this bridge, connecting them like with the bike network and with pedestrians and with I got carried away and I decided to build the entire waterway, but this was just very basic. I just placed down a key and then some lights on the sides. We're not doing any detailing there yet. I think I'm gonna keep it like that. This bridge here has archways. This is a custom made bridge because I am placing down, like, there is a ferry line going through this entire river, and this bridge is a little bit on the older side, and I wanted to still use the ferries. Look at that, it's trying its best to get through the bridges. This bridge has 4 arches now, but this is the best that I could do, and I don't think there should be a station here because people are trying to stop here and then go down. Just basic line network detailing, and we have here another what do you call this, Dutch styled intersection. I think I should still probably be placing some of those things here, but yeah, this is a much safer way for people to bike. Now I changed the bike lane from the color that is a little bit green to a little bit of a red because that is the entire city's bike network. And using intersection marking tool, I use that to paint over the bike lanes of the roads, and then I'm going to be doing that as well here. I just did for the main road because, you know, when I want to see something finished. It's a beautiful place to, you know, walk around, enjoy your time in, because this entire esplanade, do you call this an esplanade? A Riverside Promenade, it goes continuously all throughout the entire river. And this river has tons of bridges. Like from this angle right here, I think we'd be able to see all the bridges from the side. We start from the newest. This is the Expressway Bridge. We have the Boulevard Bridge. We have the La Candura Bridge. We have the Circumferential Road number 1 something bridge. We have this radiating bridge, a twin bridge, this one. And also we're gonna have 3 bridges of the same style to that. We have this, and it's going to be similar to this, but this one is going to be reworked because this one has to go a little bit up. This is gonna, instead of intersection with this one, this is gonna go over that to connect to this one because this is serving high traffic, but it's actually not right now, but let's imagine that it does. So yeah, we have a lot of bridges in Magayon. As compared to Manila, this is by far much more. And we have a fully functioning fare system here. And yeah, I can't wait to fill in the details, fill in the gaps here, you know. But in the next episode, this is what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to be focusing on the palace. We're going to be, you know, fixing this up because this is just a placeholder, but I think this is essentially how it will look like. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below any suggestions on what you want to see next. And if you guys want to show your support to the channel, consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Calejandro and get exclusive access, early content, and so much more. If you guys want to check out the next episode of Magayon, it will already be on Patreon, along with maybe the map, the save game of Magayon. If you can't, that's okay. You can still hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you'll be notified whenever I upload a brand new episode of Magayon. And yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, click like, share, subscribe. This is Calejandro, signing off. Bye!